In 1985, one movie turned a young martial artist with absolutely no acting experience into a cultural icon. His name was Taimak, his character was Bruce Leroy, and despite never acting in a feature film before, Kel Mitchell recently said in a podcast that Taimak beat out hundreds of people for this role, including a young Denzel Washington. This is the role that would change his life forever. Think about that for a second. Hollywood had experienced actors ready to audition. Instead, they chose a complete unknown. It was one of the biggest gambles of the decade, and somehow it worked. The Last Dragon became one of the most beloved martial arts movies of the 1980s. Kids wanted to be Bruce Leroy. Fans searched for The Glow, and nearly 40 years later, people are still quoting Shonuff. It looked like Hollywood had found its next martial arts superstar. But then, everything changed. There was no blockbuster, sequel, no major franchise, no string of hit action movies. Instead, the man who inspired an entire generation slowly disappeared from the Hollywood spotlight. For decades, fans kept asking the same question: what happened to Taimak? Now, after nearly 40 years, that story has taken an unexpected turn. A new martial arts film called Paper Maid is bringing Taimak back to the big screen. But this isn't just the story of another movie. It's the story of a man who walked away from Hollywood, never gave up on the values that made Bruce Leroy unforgettable, and may finally be getting the second chapter fans have been waiting decades to see. Before he became Bruce Leroy, and before fans knew his name, Taimak was simply a young martial artist from New York chasing excellence. Martial arts wasn't just something he practiced, it shaped the way he lived. Discipline, respect, humility, those weren't just words, they became the foundation of his life. Then came an opportunity almost nobody could have imagined. Berry Gordy, the legendary founder of Motown Records, wanted to make a martial arts movie unlike anything audiences had ever seen. He wasn't interested in copying Bruce Lee. He wasn't trying to make another gritty kung fu film. Instead, he wanted something completely original, a movie that mixed martial arts, music, comedy, romance, and a powerful message about believing in yourself. Finding the right actor wouldn't be easy. The character had to look believable as a martial artist, but he also needed something audiences couldn't fake: heart. According to accounts surrounding the casting process, Taimak impressed producers enough to earn the role over hundreds of other hopefuls, reportedly including future Academy Award winner Denzel Washington. Imagine hearing that. No acting experience, no Hollywood resume, and suddenly you're carrying an entire motion picture. Most people would have crumbled under that kind of pressure. Taimak didn't. When The Last Dragon arrived in theaters in 1985, critics didn't quite know what to make of it. Some thought it was too unusual. Others couldn't figure out if it was a comedy, a martial arts movie, or a Motown musical. Audiences didn't care. They loved it. Bruce Leroy wasn't the loudest hero. He wasn't driven by revenge. He wasn't trying to prove he was tougher than everyone else. Instead, he was searching for something deeper: the glow. And that's what made him different, because underneath all the action scenes, The Last Dragon wasn't really about fighting. It was about believing that the greatest strength already exists inside you. As Taimak has often said over the years, the master is within. That message connected with people in a way nobody expected. Years passed, then decades. Instead of fading away, the movie kept growing. Cable television introduced it to millions of new viewers. VHS turned it into a sleepover classic. DVDs kept it alive. Streaming introduced Bruce Leroy to an entirely new generation. Think about that for a second. How many movies from 1985 are still creating first-time fans today? Not many. Parents who grew up watching The Last Dragon are now showing it to their children. Fans still dress as Bruce Leroy at conventions. People still quote Shonuff, and perhaps the most remarkable part, Taimak has spent decades hearing from people who say Bruce Leroy changed their lives. Some started martial arts because of the movie, others became instructors, some even opened their own schools. That's a legacy very few actors ever experience. From the outside, it looked like everything was going exactly as planned. The movie had become a success, fans wanted more, Hollywood had discovered a brand new action star, but behind the scenes, a very different story was beginning, and it would change the course of Taimak's life forever. From the outside, it looked like Taimak was standing at the beginning of an incredible career. The Last Dragon had found its audience. Fans loved Bruce Leroy. Hollywood should have been calling. Instead, everything slowed down. If you've seen our previous video, you already know the heartbreaking story behind why The Last Dragon never received the sequel so many fans wanted. After the film's success, Taimak was called back to Los Angeles to discuss new contracts. According to Taimak, he expected to meet with producer Berry Gordy, who had believed in him from the very beginning, but that meeting never happened. Instead, he found himself in difficult contract negotiations that would ultimately change the direction of his career. We've covered that story in depth before, so today I want to focus on what happened after, because that's the part most people never hear. For years, many fans assumed Taimak spent his life trying to get back into Hollywood. The truth, he wasn't chasing Hollywood the way people think. Over the years, Taimak has spoken openly about becoming disillusioned with parts of the entertainment industry. The politics, the pressure, the constant focus on fame and image. As a lifelong martial artist, those values didn't always line up with the principles he had spent years building his life around. Think about that for a second. Bruce Leroy wasn't a character driven by ego. He wasn't searching for fame. He was searching for purpose. And in a strange way, Taimak's real life began to mirror the very character that made him famous. Instead of spending decades chasing movie roles, he focused on something much bigger. He continued teaching martial arts. He mentored students. He wrote books. He appeared at seminars and conventions across the country. And everywhere he went, the fans were waiting. One of the most remarkable things about Taimak's story is that his audience never disappeared. While Hollywood moved on to the next action star, Bruce Leroy never left people's hearts. Year after year, fans lined up to meet him. Many shared stories about how The Last Dragon inspired them to begin martial arts. Others said the movie gave them confidence during difficult times. Some even told him they became instructors because of Bruce Leroy. Imagine hearing those stories for nearly 40 years. At some point, you begin to realize something. Success isn't always measured by blockbuster movies. Sometimes it's measured by the lives you change, and that's exactly what happened. Without starring in dozens of Hollywood films, without becoming the next Van Damme or Seagal, Taimak built something many actors never achieve, a legacy. In recent years, that legacy has only grown stronger. Social media introduced Bruce Leroy to younger audiences. Reaction channels discovered The Last Dragon for the first time. Film critics began calling it one of the greatest cult martial arts movies ever made. What once seemed like an overlooked film had become a cultural classic. Hollywood may have stopped calling, but the fans never stopped watching. And just when it seemed like Bruce Leroy's story had already been written, something unexpected happened. A new opportunity appeared, one that would bring Taimak back to the big screen for the first time in years. And this time, the timing couldn't have been better. For nearly 40 years, Taimak never stopped believing in the message that made Bruce Leroy so unforgettable. He continued training, teaching, meeting fans, living the same principles that first inspired audiences back in 1985. But here's what's fascinating. While Taimak wasn't chasing Hollywood, Hollywood may have finally come back to him. A new martial arts film called Paper Made is giving longtime fans something they never expected: the chance to see Bruce Leroy back on the big screen. According to the film's official synopsis, Paper Made follows a college student whose future is thrown into jeopardy after a severe hazing incident threatens his academic standing. In an effort to rebuild his life, he's introduced to a secret fraternity of black martial artists. What begins as an opportunity soon becomes something much bigger. The young man is forced to confront his own ego, his family's legacy, and the true meaning of brotherhood. If that sounds deeper than your average action movie, that's because it is. Yes, there will be martial arts. Yes, there will be action. But at its heart, Paper Made appears to be about character, respect, discipline, mentorship, and discovering who you really are. Think about that for a second. Those are the same themes that made The Last Dragon so memorable. Bruce Leroy's greatest battle wasn't against Shonuff, it was against his own self-doubt. He had to learn that the glow wasn't something another person could give him. It had to come from within. In many ways, that philosophy seems to echo throughout Paper Made, and maybe that's exactly why this project feels like such a perfect fit for Taimak. He's not returning simply to relive the past. He's stepping into a story that once again celebrates the values he spent his entire life representing. The film also brings together an impressive cast: Michael Jai White, one of the most respected martial artists in modern action cinema; Walter Jones, remembered by millions as the original Black Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers; and Taimak himself. 3 generations of martial arts icons sharing the screen together. That's something many fans never thought they'd see. At the time of this recording, Paper Made is listed in post-production, and while a trailer has already been released, an official release date has not yet been announced. But honestly, that's not what makes this story so special. The real story isn't whether Paper Made becomes a box office hit. The real story is that after nearly 4 decades, Taimak is finally getting another opportunity to do what he loves. When people talk about movie legends, they usually measure success by awards, box office numbers, or blockbuster franchises, but maybe that's the wrong way to look at Taimak's career, because his greatest achievement wasn't becoming the biggest action star in Hollywood, it was inspiring people. For nearly 40 years, fans have shared stories about how Bruce Leroy changed their lives. Some began martial arts because of that movie, some became instructors, others introduced The Last Dragon to their children, and now even their grandchildren. Very few movies leave that kind of legacy. One producer involved with Paper Made said Taimak's performance inspired generations of young black men to believe they could become martial artists, action heroes, and leading men themselves. That's a legacy no contract can take away, no missed opportunity can erase, and no amount of time can diminish. Hollywood may have moved on years ago, but the fans never did. They kept Bruce Leroy alive. They kept quoting the movie. They kept introducing new generations to its message. And now, nearly 40 years later, one of martial arts cinema's most beloved heroes is stepping back into the spotlight. Whether Paper Made becomes Taimak's biggest role since The Last Dragon remains to be seen, but one thing is already certain: Bruce Leroy never disappeared. He became a legend, and legends always find their way back. If you enjoyed this story, let me know down in the comments what The Last Dragon meant to you growing up. And are you excited to see Taimak return in Paper Made? If you enjoyed this journey through one of martial arts cinema's most inspiring stories, be sure to like the video, subscribe to Timeless Gateways, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.